All right. Plenty of early birds rolling in quickly.
Oh,
I'm
fun.
going to launch this poll as you come in. Thank you for being here. I'm curious who's been here with us before at an Audience View webinar. So whether it's your first time or your fifth time, we're so glad that you chose to spend what is maybe your lunch hour with us, or your morning or late in the day. I know we have people joining from all over. Um, I'll keep rambling here for just another minute while we let people settle in. Uh, Please feel free to grab some water, a notebook if you'd like, but this is being recorded, so you will be able to access it later. Um, and okay, great. I see we have mostly new people here, which is fantastic. Thanks for being here. Um, well, I know we have a lot to get to today. So as people continue to roll in, I will start my introduction. Hello, my name is Casey Thomas. I am the Content and Public Relations Specialist here at Audience View. And it is my distinct pleasure to welcome Julie Fiore as our industry expert today. Julie has had a number of roles across the board in in the creative arts, from founder and artistic director at One Ounce Opera to creative director at Zanate Ventures. Today, she's here to share her expertise in terms of strategies, actionable insights on how you and your venues can utilize storytelling to cultivate a deep sense of community and connection among your audiences. In particular, understanding the power of narrative, strategies for engagement, and building that strong community. I see we have a hand raised. So Rosie, if you have a question, please feel free to pop into the chat or the Q&A box, or if you meant that as just a hello, welcome, happy to have you. And before I hand it over to Julie, I will remind everyone that in the last 10 minutes of today's webinar, we will be joined by John Burns, Senior Solutions Expert here at Audience View, to go through a quick live demonstration of the software. If you do choose to stick around for that, that's optional, but we hope that you will. So without further ado, I am going to pass the reins over to Julie so that we can get started.
All righty. Well, hi, folks. My name is Julie Fiore, and I'm really happy to be here with you today. If you have been wondering, like so many of us have, about how to bring more people in the door, that's the age-old question right now, right? How to get subscribers to come back, how to find out who else is in your community that might be interested in your programming, and if it is worth it to take a risk on programming that might be outside the norm. I'm really glad you're here. So the concepts that I'm going to be talking about today are not necessarily new, but I'd like for you to think about it as a lens that you can look through whenever you look at any piece of marketing collateral that comes out of your venue or your organization. And that includes, that includes everything from your website to how you're speaking to your audiences, to how your CEO talks about things when they go on radio broadcasts, to the ads that you put on social media. Every piece of your marketing collateral that audiences see that is an outward piece of collateral, I want you to see, if you apply these lenses to it, how it transforms, and then how it adds to your community and builds a stronger connection between you and your audiences. To center this whole conversation, one thing that I believe very fully in is that the arts are here to make life worth living. That the arts, a lot of the reason I think a lot of us got, or at least I did, got involved in the arts is it was an escape. It was a way to find out new things about myself. It was a way to explore a collective experience with people that I may have not ever gotten to know otherwise. And sometimes music or art is also something that gives us respite, something that helps us to relax, to get exactly what it is that we need at that moment. We can take from art what we need, and it just keeps giving. So centering that in all of the work that we do, there are three major takeaways from today that I'd like for you to have. I'm going to cut and paste these into the chat so that you can look at them as well, and then we'll talk about them as we go. So there's that. Okay, so number one, first and foremost, again, this is not a new idea necessarily, but I'm going to put it this way, that marketing is storytelling. So that's my biggest argument. Number two is that you need to put yourself consistently in your audience's shoes, not just your insiders. I'll get to that in a second. And a reminder again, like kind of what I was saying earlier, we are serving a community, not our organizations. So find those points of connection, not exclusion. All of this swims around the idea, again, how you talk to your audience about your programming and about the experience that you offer. And what I've found in looking at myriad of pieces of collateral and marketing, things that clients bring me, things that I created when I was working for a major opera company and other companies as well, is that sometimes the irony is that the most uninspired, dry, unartistic marketing is being used to sell the most inspired, colorful, artistic human experiences. So let's not do that anymore. Okay, there's a lot to talk about. I'm not going to get to every bit of it. So again, this is a high level overview. I'm going to dig into sales and email posts. So like the first touch from your audiences that leads them to the web page for the event. So we'll talk a little bit about things that you can put on there that, again, through these lenses, the three lenses that I put in the chat. And then after they purchase, the know before you go info, how can you change that to create inclusion and community? And then the all-important post-show thank you email or communication, whatever that communication may be, and how you can just kind of drill home what a fantastic choice they made by coming to join you that day. So marketing is storytelling. Every time we put out a piece of collateral, we are speaking to the audience. So remember that it is their story that we are telling. It's not necessarily our story. And what do you need to tell a good story? If you remember in, high school English, it's the who, what, when, where, why, and how. As marketers, I feel like we are really, really good at the who. So, who's going to be on stage, who is going to be playing the lead character, who is involved in the production. We're really good at the what, exactly what's going to be presented, the title of the show, what type of art it is. We're good at that too. We're also good at the when. We're really good at telling people, what time the show starts, and we're good at telling them, what day it is. And we're good at telling them where. If we are a venue, then, they know where you are, hopefully. What we're not very good at is the why and the how. And those are the two key pieces that are centering your audience, or another way to say that are audience centric. So whenever I look at a piece of collateral, whenever a client brings me something, or whenever I'm producing something for an organization or for my own organization, the first thing that I do is I look for the audience being centered as the subject of the story. So with that audience-centric language, I'm looking for you stories, not we stories. So you've probably seen this time and time again. we are excited to welcome this artist to our venue. We are bringing this concert to you. That seems very inward facing. If you think about your audience reading that, it doesn't really tell them anything except for, hey, yeah, we're doing this and you should be grateful. Kind of sometimes has that tinge to it. So that's the first point, is centering the audience. The second thing that I look for whenever I look at a piece of collateral is I look for the how and the why. What this means is I'm looking for what the marketing materials, the words that are being used, if they are telling me what the transformation is going to be. It's reminding me that the audience, whenever they make these choices, are making these choices because they want to fulfill a need. And if I am not speaking to that need, I'm not telling them what the story-driven purpose is of them actually purchasing a ticket. I see a comment in the yes, no slides today. I really want this to be more of a conversation, and please, as we go, if you do have questions, we're going to have a Q&A at the end, and you're more than welcome to hold them for then, but you're also welcome to pop in little things in the chat if you'd like. That's totally fine. Okay, so looking for the how and the why. So we've so far we talked about centering the audience in your pieces of collateral, and then looking for the how and the why. So the transformation and really speaking to that story-driven purpose. So examples of that are, telling your audience, imagine what the experience will be, or you will be relaxed, or allow yourself to get lost in the film or in the music or in the action happening on stage. Immerse yourself in the sounds created by our orchestra. So words that really paint a picture. This is also another way of giving them a full view of what it will be like whenever they sit in that seat, so they can really picture it for themselves. This drives that story that they're already starting to write in their mind about attending your events. This helps to solidify that even stronger. The third thing that I look for is getting rid of words, as many as I can, that are perhaps insiders' words. What I mean by this are words that maybe are not as rampant as they used to be, but you will see them all over arts marketing, especially. Words like famous and celebrated and high caliber and award winning. Sometimes these words are good descriptors to center who it is that you're bringing in, or the level of artistry that your audience can expect. But sometimes it serves to actually exclude people who don't maybe understand why you are using the words you're using. So if you're using a word like famous to describe a piece of art, a piece of work, in any semblance, if your audience has never heard of it before, yet you're telling them it's famous, then they're going to think, oh my, what's wrong with me? Why didn't I know this? I obviously don't belong here. And right there, you've lost them. So that's just a sense of exclusion. And that goes beyond any other inclusive thing that we may do. Sometimes the words that we use actually keep the outsiders out and the insiders in. This is really easy for us to do as people who are on the inside. We are in our offices and our boardrooms. We are in the conference rooms. We are backstage. We are in the audition rooms. We are living it every day. Our audiences aren't necessarily doing that. So remember to connect with your audience using terms and words that will mean something to them and add to the story of them coming to your event. Okay, so I'm going to put all of this together in the chat, I'm going to place an example that is actually a real example. I just changed some of the words to protect the people that wrote it. And now I'm going to read this. Okay. We are thrilled to welcome Mark Jones, celebrated violinist and winner of 2 Grammy Awards, directly from his recent performance with the New York Philharmonic. He'll play the famous Concerto in D Major by Brahms. Don't miss this amazing concert. Okay, so already when I'm taking out my red pen, I bet you can see the first thing that I'm going to look at. And it is that the opening word is we. And then after that is we are thrilled. This is something I know that we've all written. I have done it. I'm not doing it anymore. And I'm asking my clients and my friends and my colleagues to try to avoid this. X out the we right away. And then celebrated and directly from his recent performance with the New York Philharmonic. That's fantastic for your insiders. So for your nearest and dearest, those are things that they may care about. The people, again, that are classical music buffs, or are your biggest donors, or have been in your circle, swimming in your pool for decades. They may want to know that. But for the ones that are just on the like your ones that this may be like the second time that they've ever gotten an email communication from you, seeing those things might not necessarily grab them. It might make them think this is an event that I don't know if I belong at. And then after that, of course, he'll play the famous Concerto in D Major by Brahms. Is it famous? Yes. Do we know why? Yes. Does your audience? Maybe not. So there are different ways to talk about again, the transformation and the experience that you're getting at by using these terms that center the organization and the artist, not the audience. So this is, after doing all of that work, this is what I sent them back. And again, this is taking out anything that would identify the folks that this was from. Looking for a relaxing way to end the week? Turn off your phones and take a seat for what audiences have described as captivating, full of emotion, and deeply moving. From the first notes to the last, Grammy-winning violinist Mark Jones will lift your spirits as he and the City Orchestra share Brahms' Concerto in D Major. Perfect for Friday date night, a solo escape, or an evening with friends. So, what I did here is I centered the experience of the audience. I put myself in their shoes, which is the second big takeaway that we'll get to in just a second. And I still got the information into the email that alludes to the fact that this is a high caliber performance. I did get in there that he's a Grammy-winning violinist. I see that or saw that as something that would connect with my audience. The Grammys are not necessarily something that's completely esoteric. It's something that is spans beyond classical music. So it's something that could be a connective thread between the audience and the organization. And then I gave them little like maybe check marks, like, this looks interesting. Why should I do this? Oh, I need a Friday date night. Oh man, I've really been wanting a solo escape. You know, I really want to see that friend of mine, and what if they would like to go to the symphony with me? So you've planted these seeds in their head, and then the audience can then see themselves, they can picture themselves attending your event. With copy like this, in the work that I've done, it leads to triple the click-through rate on emails when copy like this is included. That is across the board. And so I encourage you to center the audience, look for the how, the why, and the transformation, and get rid of words that are insiders' words in your communication. Now they've clicked through, hopefully. And so let's go to the next piece of collateral. So when you put yourselves in your audience's shoes and not just your insiders, um, think through the entire experience. So from the moment that they see this email, to the moment that they buy a ticket, to the moment that they get the know before you go email, to the moment they leave their house, come to your venue, sit in your seat, and then enjoy the programming and then leave afterwards. Think all the way through that and how you can create a feeling of care, of belonging, of I am thinking about you and I want your experience at my venue or with my organization to be one that is memorable and that serves the purpose that you need this to serve. Think all the way through that. So, what kind of impact can your programming have? It can have a lot of impact. But you, when a lot of times when we start this idea of storytelling, it kind of stutters and stops after they've bought the ticket. So when they are on your website, think about the details that they may need to be even more informed and have an even better experience. One of my past roles was I spent 4 seasons with a major opera company in a really interesting with a really interesting job description, one that I don't know where else it may exist, but it was as the director of digital and audience experience. And while I was there, we won consecutive Opera America grants for like innovation grants specifically for researching audience experience and how we can add to just I mean, honestly, part of it was to see how we could lift our net promoter score. And if doing like investing in this type of work uh, led to repeat first time ticket buyers, if it led to them coming again, and if it led to people feeling like they were more connected to our organization. And what we found was that it was absolutely true. And it was the smallest things that made the biggest difference. So some of these small things fit into this idea of creating a narrative that goes from beginning to end. And part of that narrative is thinking through the very human experience of showing up at a venue that you may or may not have ever been to before. So giving them details like the exact time, the exact length that they can expect to invest in whenever they come to your venue. So not just the show starts at 8 o'clock, doors are at 7, but tell them that doors are at 7. We have food and a bar open that take cash and credit cards. The show starts at 8. It lasts 2 hours and there is one 30-minute intermission. And afterwards, you are welcome to stick around for an hour for a post-show Q&A, or the bar will stay open for an extra 30 minutes. Any kind of information that you can give them that helps paint the picture, paint the story, tell them, again, like in detail, what the whole experience is going to be like, is going to add to their feeling of belonging and of inclusion. It's not going to feel like they're showing up and they're going to be worried. People are already going to be worried about feeling like they belong, even if it's a place that they've been before. So go ahead and just make it easy. Welcome them into your home. And don't assume that they know things that you know. This goes back to that idea of insiders and painting pictures. So on your website, on the pages that they click through to, where there's information about the show, not only should you have the logistical stuff and the audience experience type stuff, but also on there have at the bare minimum something that I'm sure you guys are all doing anyway, but really invest in looking at these materials and make sure that what you want. Invest in primers that really speak to what the audience can expect, not necessarily something that's incredibly academic. That happens a lot in classical music. Other ways to connect with the audience. If you like this, you'll also like this. If you're curious about this, then it is also like these other things. And then they can go check those things out. Clips of videos, clips of the music, a link out to the bio of the artists, an interview with the artist, connecting them even further with the people that are going to be on stage and reaching them through their art. Help to break down a little bit of that fourth wall, or at least allow some threads to hang off the stage so that the audience can pick those up and weave them together for themselves. After they've read through your materials, and then they are feeling much more included, and they feel much more like they will belong whenever they show up at your venue, and you found some connection points with them, and they've come to your show. What should be in your post-show communications? And how should you treat their post-show experience? I would argue that don't let all of them get out the door without talking to a few of them face to face. Ask them, what did you think? How was this for you? What did you expect? And did we meet your expectations? What would you like to see in the future? What meant something to you? What are you going to take away from this? And make sure that you take those words. I encourage you to either voice memo those recordings, or even see if they would agree to actually talk on camera. That is marketing gold, as we all know. And then in your subsequent marketing, you can use their words to speak right back to them in your communication. And that goes everywhere, on your social media, in your emails, even in your donor communication. Donors love to know how audiences are receiving the work that they have invested in. And they also love to see new people in seats, by the way. So let's back up just a little bit here. I want to do an exercise with you, if y'all don't mind, and we'll use the chat. I just want to take a minute, and I want to explore how you are connecting with audiences that aren't on your email list. So, talking about the folks that we may be bringing in through a social media ad, or through an ad in the newspaper, or through a radio spot. So people that aren't, again, that aren't a part of our email list yet. So how do those people see your organization? What story are you telling them? How do you share that story? And how audience-centric is that story? How could you, in the way that you talk about your organization? So this could be like in your tagline. This could be in your mission statement. This could be in the ad copy. This could be with what's at the front of your brochure. How could you shift some of that content to focus on the benefits and experiences from your audience's point of view? So I want to spend just a minute and allow you to just write down a bunch of ideas. It could just be words that you've heard your audience say. It could be taking your tagline and breaking it down, like I did with the marketing collateral earlier. When you're writing these things down, don't judge them. Just take a minute to write them down. And then at the end of a minute or so, I want you to share your favorites in the comments if you're comfortable doing so. All right, so I'm gonna start my timer now. Oh, sure. So the prompt is to think about the way that your organization talks about itself. Think about the story that you are sharing with the general public. So not necessarily people on your email list, but people that may see your brochure, your posters, your social media ads, hear about you on the radio, people that are not on your email list. So these are people outside of your circle. What story are you telling them? And then just write down some ideas, break down your tagline. You're welcome. All right, let's say like 15 more seconds. All righty, I'm excited to see what you guys came up with. We are telling them to escape to our small town for a big experience, a charming day trip. That's awesome. I want a charming day trip. Now, see, now I want to know where you are and what you do. That's awesome. All right, who else? Creativity, community, connection. Oh, that's your current tagline. That's pretty good. I wonder if there's a way to, I wonder if there's a way to center that even further. Because creativity, and it also depends on what your organization does and who your like what kind of programming you do. Are you a venue or are you an organization, performing arts center? Okay, so you probably have a myriad of things that come into your space every year. Okay, so covering all of that in a tagline can be really difficult. Um, I wonder if there's a way to point the creativity at the audience. I wonder if there's a way to say something uh, experience creativity or experience something new or open your mind or something like that. Community and connection are what you're seeking. I wonder how that speaks again to someone who reads that and may think, well, okay, connection, but connection from what to what? Um, so that might be something to look at is thinking through how to maybe connect that a little bit more, but still stay concise. Taglines are hard, y'all. Okay, there was another one in here. Season theme is here, centering the idea that we are all listeners and listening beings and getting introspective on how we listen to music as well as each other. Okay, cool. Let's see. Yeah, that we are all listeners. So that is a sense of belonging. It is a sense of connection. That is a thread that you're wanting, showing that you're wanting to weave through to your audiences. So that's really good. Okay, cool. So if there are others that come up, you guys can find me on LinkedIn and you can pop up in my DMs and we can talk about those too. So I want to make a couple more points. Again, like in your post show communications, make sure that you all also have this audience centric statement in there. So it circles all the way back around to completing that story. Pretty much, alluding to the fact that your audience made a really damn good choice by buying that ticket. And plug back into that, and that you really want to maintain this connection with them, that is an important thing. And hopefully they will be back. And invite them to join you again for something in the future. Make sure that, again, you center them in that conversation too. So one of the points that I made at the very, very top was that the arts serve a purpose for many, many, many people. And sometimes we have to remind people of that purpose. But I would argue that since so many arts organizations are nonprofits, we are built to serve. So keep in mind that service mentality, that we are a part of our communities. We are stewards to building connections and to increasing the quality of life and sense of well-being in our neighbors and in our audiences. And doing this work leads to people who are in your orbit sharing the experience with their friends and loved ones that then feel included and in a sense of belonging. And so then they share it with their friends and their loved ones. And then your circle naturally, organically grows in a way that you develop a loyal, connected community that continues to serve the audiences and the people that again are your neighbors. And this should be the purpose, in my opinion, of all arts organizations. So thank you for doing the good work. And I encourage you to try these lenses and see if they work for you and see how it transforms the experience for the way that people talk about your organization and the words that they use whenever you are entered into a sentence or a thought in their brains. Help them tell the story that you want them to tell. And with that, we're ready for Q&A.
All right, since I can jump the line, I'll start with a question of mine while people get them either in the chat or in the Q&A. Have you experienced any organizations that you've worked with utilizing like successfully utilizing community events and outside of performances, like open houses or hosting things that aren't necessarily the stated purpose of the building to try to grow that community?
Yes. And when it works the best is when or when I found that it works the best is when it precedes a season. And so, and a lot of times, right around the time that like a season brochure is released, is kind of an open house, come in, touch and feel, get to know people. Granted, a lot of the artists, won't be there. I'm speaking from, of course, classical music. But that's kind of the case with a lot of venues as well, is that your talent probably won't be on site, but you will be, and you live in your community. And so fostering those connections in the lobbies of your venues is a fantastic way to get to know people, and also to gather information from them, get the words that you're going to need to use in your collateral. It's a win-win for both sides.
Great, thank you. I will now read out Nicole's question, which is, what sort of post-show communication do you often refer to?
What kind of post-show communication am I referring to? The post-show email, the email that you send right after they attend your show, that should be triggered as soon as they if they scan their ticket in. Hopefully your systems work this way. If not, then see if you can find one that does. That after they have scanned their ticket in, that it triggers an email that is sent later that night that says, "Thank you so much for coming. And we hope that you enjoyed this and this and this. And that we fulfilled your expectations. We welcome you into our community. And here's what's coming next if you're curious." Have a link to your website. Please don't solicit for donations. Please don't necessarily try to sell them tickets right away. And post-show surveys is something, like written post-show surveys is something you can do, but they're not really being viewed anymore as a positive for audiences. It's more like, well, now they're asking me to do something else. Like, I just want to relish in the fact that I went to this concert and enjoy it for myself. If you do send a survey, make sure it's brief and you get the information targeted focus that you really, really need. Not necessarily all kinds of other stuff.
And Julie, I noted that you had sort of mentioned, I noticed the difference in tone when you said in that post communication saying like, wasn't that great? Like, what a great decision you made. Do you find that, have you, like, is that, if I had never been to one before and I'm sort of thinking like, was that how it was supposed to be? Maybe that email would then solidify like, oh, okay, that was a great experience and I should go back.
Yeah, that's one of those techniques that's used by like yesterday I made Instagram showed me an ad, I bought the thing. And after I bought the thing, I got an email from the, from the company saying, "Wow, what a great choice you just made." And I was like, "I didn't make a good choice." So it's just it helps cultivate that feeling of, hey, you're part of us, you belong. Um, uh, and we want you to do this again. That feeling, that good feeling that you got when you bought the ticket and or whatever, like we want you to know that it was not an accident. And come back soon. Hmm. Okay. In the vein of storytelling and language, this is from Lauren. She says, "Do you think the descriptions of events should be more stripped down versus embellished?" That's the sense I got. Um, that's a good question. I would say in your email communication and social posts to get to the heart of, again, center the audience and and them making the decision of or choosing this event for a purpose. Uh, you can save the nitty-gritty details about the performance itself. So the synopsis, more about the history of the work, in that example, the Brahms violin concerto is one of the more recognizable and played, like most played concertos in history. So on your web page for the event, you can have all of that information. You can house every bit of that there. But in communication, it can turn people off and away. And we're in the business of turning people on. So just keep that in mind, that wordsmithing or using words that will flick lights on or light switches on in their brains, or what should be in, or what I want you to look for in your sales communication. And then what's on the website, all of that information that's on there is where you can really, again, get into the nerdy details. And yeah, and put all of that there. And in your program books, of course, if there's a program book. You're welcome. I'm going to say too, I thought there was going to be a symphony soundtrack behind me today because they are repaving my street, but they have mercifully decided to take a lunch break themselves, I guess. So,
Oh, perfect
yay.
timing.
It's also very hot where I am, so I hope they're getting some water. I might take them some iced tea.
Mhm. Um, I have another question I can jump in with.
Okay.
What is your stance on newsletters and how to make them impactful in that community building sense and not something that just feels like, oh, here's another thing in my inbox?
Right. Right. Yeah, sometimes newsletters can feel uh, sometimes they can feel really uh, organizationally centric. Sometimes they can feel really turned inward. We did this thing, we did that thing, hey, look at us. Um, the impact of newsletters in creating community is to, again, speak to your audience like they're your friend, like they're a part of this. And uh, see if you can take what you would like what you would tell to your board, like how you would report to your board or how you would report things in your conference room to your colleagues, or to your biggest donors, take that and then reflect it the opposite way of how what you're doing is impacting the audience. Like you and use words like you. You can use words like we in a newsletter, but use words like you as well. Like you can expect that this will be this, or imagine a world where we have a taco truck on the terrace before the show. So instead of like, hey, look at us, we're going to put a taco truck on the trailer or on the terrace. It's just looking at things through that lens and just wordsmithing it a little bit to again reflect back your audience's needs and those purposes.
Mm-hmm. All right, we only have a few minutes left, so I am going to encourage people to get their questions in. If you'd prefer to ask your question off mute, raise your hand. I can make that happen.
Ooh.
We have the technology. Oh, we have another from Kristen.
Yeah, right. Okay. Kristen, I'm glad you asked. So the question is post-show surveys and needing information for grants. Other suggestions for collecting other than the post-show survey. Depending on how your grants are set up, it may be that you can send out a post-show survey for like one show a year, maybe not all of the shows. Segmenting out an audience to send a post-show survey to when you need grant information, I realize might be a little sus. So if that is information that you absolutely have to have in that post-show communication, be really honest about that. And how they can impact your ability to add to add to the offerings for next year, or that their words could assist in you receiving more funds, or in future applications. People understand these things. And so giving them some background on that, and that it is important to you, because their words are important to you and their experiences is important to you. Um, I've found that you know, putting it that way seems to help. I'm in the middle of writing 2 grants, so I'm also in that mindset too, of really needing that information. So do your best with the lenses that I talked about earlier whenever you do talk about those things. Oh, let's see. Oh, you're welcome. Are these 2 questions? Hang on. E-newsletter to promote upcoming events, inherently inward looking unless we can wrap it in such a way that focuses on them, such as. Yeah, so really, I mean, one thing that I really encourage you all to do is to look through any copy that you have and figure out if you can take out all like every time you say the word we, see if there's a way that you can change it to not be we. So you're not telling a we story, you're telling a you story. It's a lens that takes a little bit to get used to, just like a new pair of glasses. And it's one that we, again, is as insiders, as people who speak the speak all day long, and to people who know their stuff, a lot of times, sometimes it's really hard to put those glasses on. But I encourage you to practice, and this comes with more practice, and then practicing in a way like some empathy for your audience, and thinking how what you do affects your community directly. And it makes it a lot easier to center them in that communication. Let's see. Oh, wow. So Nordic skiing, I would love to be Nordic skiing right now. It's 101 degrees here. Okay. Let's see. It's crossover well. Okay. Connecting people to, as well as resources to do the activities in awesome places is like art, and then it keeps on giving and gives you what you need, which might be different than what the person next to you needed. Yes, exactly. So it's allowing people to take what they, yeah, allowing people to take what they personally need from the experience. And like what a beautiful thing. Like what an incredible opportunity we have to help with the well-being of people, especially, especially nowadays. Let's be honest, art can save us. So and being in nature can save us. Being around beautiful things and feeling a sense of belonging can really help with that.
I think we have time for just one more question. I want to make sure we read Sam's from the Q&A box here. Sam says, do you have any advice for multi-branch organizations? The balance between education, museum, and performances can be difficult to find.
Definitely. I would think about how you speak to each of those groups in different ways. So when you're speaking to educators or about education, the purpose of the connection is different than when you're speaking to people that may buy tickets or let's see what else. Remind me what else you guys did. I don't see that question anymore. Anyway, but I would maybe segment out your communication. And it's fine on social media to say, educators, and then speak directly to them. And it's not that it's not that you're not speaking to anyone else. It's that you're focusing that communication on them. Same thing with email lists. Segmentation is such a gift. It really is. Keep up with it, and have that communication be hyper focused on the needs of those groups. And hopefully that answers your question on that. But yeah, don't be afraid to be something different for different groups, for different people. You can't be everything for everyone, but uh, pull the threads that those people are reaching out for, and again, like weave those together.
Julie, thank you so much. Selfishly, as a marketer, I think I learned a lot from this. So I appreciate you coming. I hope everybody else learned a lot as well.
You're welcome.
Um, Definitely find Julie on LinkedIn, posts a lot of insightful posts. And at this time, I'm going to ask John Burns to come off camera so he can run through some demos. I was taking notes of some of the product features that I think that we could touch on here that get to the core of some of the things we spoke about. Post-show automated emails, collecting demographic information, segmenting audiences. So
Awesome.
And it's not letting me undo my video or
I think you
put my
should be
camera
able
on.
to
I'll
now.
try now. Okay. Oh, there I go. Hello, everybody. And hi, Julie. And thank you so much. I learned a lot during that. Actually, while you were doing this, I was furiously trying to kind of tweak my demo environment in reaction to a lot of your great advice. So it's a pleasure to meet you and to meet everybody today. There's a few things that I want to highlight based on what you were talking about. So I'm going to share my screen so we can look at them. And of course, for us, it starts with that ticket purchase journey. And so I'm just going to quickly go through. This is a demo site that we've created, and I've got some ideas about how to ways to tweak this. But I'm going to buy tickets to my favorite show 6. So we're now on a page that our software has generated, and we are white label. So one of the ways we tell your stories is by having your branding all over our page. We have an image, here's that description you can tweak in reaction to the advice that Julie just gave us. I'm just going to pick an event. I just want to get through a ticket purchase really quickly because I want to get to those communications. So I'm just going to grab a couple of seats. Our site is what we call responsive, meaning we're going to adjust our content to the consumer's device. So whether you're on a mobile device or a desktop, we're going to deliver an attractive, easy to navigate interface. Part of capturing that customer journey is finding out who your customers are. So we capture that information. Also, we don't put barriers in front of your customers. We don't require that they create passwords. So we are capturing their names and email addresses. I'm just going to get through this purchase quickly. We are PCI compliant, of course. And I'm going to agree to the terms and conditions. Yay, I've completed my purchase. And that communication can start here on our confirmation page. So one of the things that we allow is for you to customize some information on this page. So I actually tweaked this language today. I said, you are going to love 6. And I included a kind of a dynamic image of the production and brought to you with the help of, we can also include some sponsor information on this page. When that order went through, I received a confirmation email, and it also has that information. So notice I have my beautiful image, I have that messaging. So this happens at the time of the purchase. So this can be customized to really tell that story and include your customers. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go to the admin side now. And I'm going to go into, let's talk about how we set up those emails. And so for any production, for any ticket purchase, there are 3 emails that we can automate. The first is that order confirmation that we just saw. So this is where I uploaded those images. You can do this in HTML. I don't know anyone who likes that, but we have a beautiful WYSIWYG editor, so you can include images and links and tell that story. We also have pre-show and post-show emails, and once again, they can be styled. We include things like custom fields, so you can really personalize this. Dear person's name. So you're not just sending like a blank email, you're actually speaking to that person by name. And of course, you can include images here. We've even, I highlighted our lobby bar and our signature cocktails. We've also made some recommendations for restaurants in the neighborhood. So that can go out any number of hours before the performance. We also have this same type of message that can go out a matter of time after the performance start time. A lot of our New York clients time that with intermission, but some clients like it to go the next day. But you can control when all of these email communications go out, and they can all be styled and made really attractive, and including the ability to make certain copy bold and pull out that information. So those are a couple of ways we can really talk to your customer in a very easy and automated way. Next, I want to talk to you about, Julie mentioned the importance of segmenting your audience and speaking to them individually. We have an amazing report. It's called the Patron Report. And so this report, I can really dial into the exact group of people that I want to speak to. So this account's got 2,400 patrons. I can add a variety of filters. They can be based on patron location, patron demographics, fundraising history, ticket buying history. So let's say I want to promote my production of 6. So I'm going to look for anyone anyone who likes musicals. I'm going to grab those people, and I'm sorry, I'm going to need to make there we go. So I'm going to get those people. I've got 2,300 people who love musicals. I'm actually going to remove anyone who already has purchased tickets to Six because I've already got them. So and so now, yeah, I'm down to 2,100 people. And so I can actually take this list, I can dump it into Excel or CSV. I don't know if you can see it because my toolbar's in the way. We also have the ability to push this list into MailChimp. So you can take this list of people that you've targeted through this report and push that into MailChimp or Constant Contact to send them a beautiful marketing email from your organization. So those are a few of the tools. Also, I want to talk about just getting to know your customers. I want to go quickly into a patron profile. And that is so important for everyone to know who their customers are. So of course, a patron profile is created anytime anyone purchases. These are the data points that we capture. But as you get to know someone, you can add additional information. I've uploaded an image. We can start tagging them. She likes musicals. We can start capturing additional information, additional addresses, emails, certain statistics like her birthday, her alma mater, her preferred pronouns. Also, we can track her relationships to other customers. So, and we make that all very easy for you to. We're also tracking transactional history with her total donation history, her ticket buying history. We even have developmental profiles, which are designed for moving her through a fundraising tunnel. We can put her on a track and a readiness level. We can pull reports based on this, and we have household reports to look at your people as households altogether. So I just wanted to highlight a few of those. I also want to mention that we integrate with Google Tag Manager. So, your community is not only the people who purchase the tickets, they're the people who came to your website or even clicked through to try they were sort of interested. So with that Google Tag Manager integration, you can really track those clicks and target those people with advertising. So that's the highlights of what I wanted to show today. If anyone has any questions, I would love to take them. Other than that, I'm going to hand it back.
John, thank you so much. And I see we still have some people that have hung on with us. I know we're slightly over time, but again, thank you, Julie, for being here. And thank you, John, for taking us through that. And thank you, everyone who came and participated and learned alongside. I encourage everyone to find Julie on LinkedIn. And thanks again for coming to this webinar.
Thanks, you guys. Really enjoyed it. Have a great day.
You too. Stay cool.
Thanks.